Microsoft Clarity. So that it's a tool that basically analyzes user data, user behavior on a site, on individual pages, produces heat maps, recordings, so we can optimize the site for UX basically. It's within Bing Webmaster Tools, which is Google Search Console's equivalent in Bing. And I set it up for my site, fisherseo.com, about 100 days ago or so, a couple of months. And I've just had a look at it for the first time and it's gathered a load of data. So I thought I'd explore that a little bit. And as we know, user behavior and user intent is relevant to search ranking. So if we match the search intent as clearly as possible, as comprehensively as possible, that doesn't mean that we want 1,000 word article for every search intent, like percentage calculator, you just want the calculator there. But it does mean that you need to match the actual intent of the search. So let's have a look at the data. There's a lot in here as well. To say it's a free tool, it's really useful. I've set it to 100 days as well. It's got the little information icons in, so we can see what the different metrics mean, like average time spent, when the user's attention was on your site, inactive time, when your site was hidden behind other tabs and windows. We can actually analyze to that degree, not just when the page is just left open. User intent is another one. So it's done around 500 sessions. It said 18 of those are high intent, medium intent 252, low intent 323. So obviously you want to improve and increase the number of high intent sessions that you've got. And there's some quite funny insights here. Rage clicks, which is where someone's just like, "Ah, come on, just work," and they click multiple times the same area. Dead clicks, tapped on a page, no effect. Excessive scrolling, scrolling, which I've not had. And quick backs, which is incredibly useful. So a user navigates to a page, then quickly returns to the previous one. So generally it's when the page that they've clicked to or clicked through to does not match the intent behind what they need. They've not got the information or the resource that they need, whether it's commercial or informational, whatever it is. Got some really useful referrer data as well, so we can see where the traffic's actually coming from. The channel, whether it's organic, SEO, Google search, or direct referral or paid search. I did run a small paid campaign at some point as well, a couple of months ago. The actual sources as well. You can see devices, operating system, countries, URL performance scores, performance overview. It's a fantastic tool, essentially. But this can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes when you get all this data. So I've had a little 5-10 minute look at it and I've deciphered what I think will be useful. So I'll set it to the maximum amount you can. You can't just put all, but just keep going until the data doesn't change. I did 100 days. So I'm not too worried about recordings at the minute. So we'll go to heat maps and you can see the most popular pages. So I can do a heat map for any of these pages basically going down. Generally, probably the most useful would be the I'm going to do the homepage for now, but for your site, it might be a category page or a service page that's not the homepage. So just replicate what I'm doing for the homepage on somewhere else. So this is what the heat map looks like. So you can see when it's more prominent colouring, when it starts to appear red, the number of clicks are higher. So more people have clicked on the contact option on the menu than pretty much anywhere else on the page. Then services. Less people have clicked in resources, so we've just got a little bit of blue, and it goes to like yellowy green if it's like mid-range. So we've got clicks there and there. What I would say about the heat map is these are all clicks. So if any small blue circle, you can see there's a click there, none there, none there. So there's two parts to this. You've got places where people have clicked and there's no link, so it's not actually taking them to another resource or page. And you've got places that are a link and people haven't clicked on them for whatever reason. Obviously, the more data, the better here as well. I mean, what I'd start, so just to do a bit of analysis here, like people have clicked on this link, SEO for retail brands, but they've not clicked on, I can't remember the exact one that is, B2B. So people have not clicked on SEO for B2B companies in the 100 days, according to this data, or SEO for D2C brands. So that might make me think that's not very useful to users. They're not getting any benefit from that. It's not sort of dragging them in and making them want to click. So could be possible that I'd swap these out, like changing for different types of clients. How I've segmented my clients. They're not getting as much use. And then again, so that's one sort of version that I'd look at. All right, we've not had clicks on these links. Could we change the links? Is there something that would match user intent a bit better? And then you can look into the recordings and see why people seem to be scrolling past and what they are clicking on. Here's another, the opposite sort of part is where you've got clicks where there's no internal link. So I know in this section of copy, and I'll probably have your site open in another tab as well so you can compare. I know there's no internal links in that whole section of copy, and people have still clicked. So we've had one, two, 25. Oh, no, sorry. Just move me a second. 422. It's not unsubstantial. Obviously, with a site with thousands of traffic every week, then this would look a little bit more in depth and we'll be able to analyze more comprehensively. But we've had clicks multiple times within this section and there's no internal links. So that might mean, is it worth adding internal links into here? People. So this section is all about how I like to work as an SEO consultant, ethically, transparently, independently. People have clicked a couple of times in the transparently section. Is it worth having a link in there that I've got examples of how I work transparently and maybe another landing page about that? Here's another example. So in the testimonials section, these may be links or may not. I'm not 100% sure. I think the logos are linked, but they're getting a number of clicks. Well, this one is. We've had 8 clicks there, 3 clicks there. Not on any of the others, but people are clearly wanting to see maybe case studies from these testimonials or wanting to see the external links to these websites. So if there are links there, fine, it's working. But if there aren't, it's worth reevaluating and adding these in. And this is especially pertinent on like a product page. You imagine if people are clicking ferociously in a certain section and it's just copy, something is triggering in their psychology to make them want to learn more information about that section. So it could be worth another page, add an internal link into an existing page, change the copy so they understand that this isn't sort of a clickable section. So that's one thing. Places where people are clicking, there's no internal links. Places where people aren't clicking and there are internal links. Another one in the main nav. Main nav is this is so helpful with the main nav. People have only clicked twice in the resources section, but 18 times in the services section in my main nav. In the resources section, there are some really helpful resources, as you guessed it, but obviously that's not appealing to people. Is it worth moving this to the right of the menu so it's less prominent? Is it worth renaming this section to guides or something like that? It's just something to think about. Right. The next thing I've got written down is scroll depth. So this is more sort of theory, just to emphasize how important the above the fold section is when you load up a website. I think this was the right, was it area? Yeah, area. I mean, the scroll up section kind of shows you this, but the area in order of appearance on page is probably a better example. So if I understand this correctly, and feel free to comment below if I've not understand this and like and subscribe. But this section has a 21.26% click-through rate, which is quite high. You can imagine that. This section, 1.82%. Ideally, we want them all to have high click-through rates because there's nothing wrong with people scrolling down, clicking, going back. 2.0.61. All these ones have a really small click-through rate. Let's also have a look. So that just proves how incredibly important it is to get your above the fold section as on point as possible. Because people tend to not scroll that far. But here we can look at the scroll depth as well. So 80, it drops off, 10% of people drop off to the next section. This is a pretty good sort of ratio for me. It's not generally when I've looked at this on sites before, a lot more people drop off, so it might be like 10% get to halfway down the page. But people tend to really take into consideration all this copy. It might be worth looking at this on another site, another page, sorry. Let's get rid of this page. So let's click on, there we go. So this is a landing page that I created. We'll look at the scroll depth. Look how much that drops off. Above the fold, literally below the fold drops half users are gone straight away. This is why this section is so important, and it's not the best at the moment. I'm looking to improve it, but 50% gone, literally just going below the fold. And then the majority who do go below the fold do get to the bottom. So that's one thing. Above the fold, incredibly important. Make sure your calls to actions are excellent. Make sure your copy's succinct. You might not want them to go below the fold if there's not much underneath, but it's just incredibly important. And this could be improved. This is just a bit of basic copy and a few basic buttons. I could improve this massively. It's crazy to see that sort of drop off. Right, and then the final point I wanted to make is something that I've not actually heard this term before I looked in Microsoft Clarity. Let's go back. And let's just get rid of the filter. Always make sure to check your filters at the top as well if you're a little bit surprised by the data. So look, so there's quite a lot of filters. So this quick backs um, insight that I've seen. So let's look at the definition again. User navigated to a page, then quickly return to the previous one. So it's not a bounce. They've not left the site. They've not disengaged with the site. They've gone to a page and then pressed the back button or clicked on back, and it's gone back to the previous one. The the final destination URL has not satisfied their intent by the sounds of it. It could have satisfied them, then they've gone back, but it's generally, I mean, if it's satisfied them, then they might make an inquiry or purchase a product. So let's have a look. Let's just cross that off. Quick backs. Yes, and then let's go into recordings. So if we look at no live recordings found, so we haven't got any recordings of the quick backs, which is a little bit frustrating. Let's do heat maps. Um, so I presume this is just showing quick backs. Let's go back. Quick backs. So if we, I mean, what I would say, if there's not recordings available, clearly there's not, because quick backs will be shorter sessions. Active time spent only 40 seconds. So let's have a look. Here we go. So we've got the quick backs filter on, top pages. Now, I'd have a look at these. Yeah, we've not got any recordings, annoyingly. I'll have a look at your top pages, which have resulted in a quick back. Obviously, I've got the home page, but if we've got any specific ones like local SEO service, had one quick back. SEO white labeling, that's had a quick couple of quick backs. Obviously, there'll be more data with larger sites, but if you've got a page which is really prominent in the quick back section, there's a good possibility it's not fulfilling user intent. Look at the recordings if you've got any. Look at the heat maps, and that's a page to concentrate on and redo the copy and redo the design potentially.